Hi everybody. I have been struggling to do this video for the last few days. I've been getting ancestor whispers that aren't necessarily whispers. And I'm trying to figure out how to put all this together because I feel like it's a tie of a bunch of things. Probably made 6 videos and haven't liked any of them. I think I'm going to break this up into parts. Because every time I hit like the 10-minute mark or the 15-minute mark, I start to get worried. So hopefully you'll take the time to go through this whole process with me. I want to say that I'm honestly worried about the future of this country. I see a level of selfishness. I see a level of jealousy. I see a level of laziness. I see a level of entitlement. And I see this group or this mass of individuals that believe the worst in each other, but don't believe a system is capable of doing anything bad. I'm going to start with the fact that I want to say a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I actually went to a event with Bernie Sanders. I've been watching Bernie Sanders off and on for the last little bit. And even at the event, he comes across as a man who understands where we are and understands where we need to go. What scares me is his followers don't seem to quite get it. His followers have a me complex. His followers keep looking at situations as if, as a matter of fact, every single question that was asked to him was basically, what about me? How do you fix this for me? As a matter of fact, some people were bold enough to say, yeah, you're working on this for them. I don't care about them. I don't want you to deal with them. I want you to fix this for me. And it's funny because after that day, and I sat there and I watched, and it terrifies me because I'm going, just as a story that my father always said, that told me that his father told him, is that, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but hopefully you guys get the gist, is that there was something going on in the community, and one of the far out neighbors, something happened to him, and all the other neighbors like, oop, okay, what happened? Nobody paid attention. Well, the same thing kept happening and the numbers kept dwindling. Everybody was watching, but nobody would do anything to try to help. And so when it got to the last person, that whatever this energy or person or being came for, there was nobody left to even think about saving him. And I feel like that's where this country is going now. And I feel like it's organized. And I feel like so many of us are not seeing it and we're not getting it. And so, just as an example, had a discussion with a man about unions. And he was explaining that he doesn't like unions. He can't stand unions. When he explained why, he said his brother has been doing the same thing he's been doing for years. For the same amount of time, same thing he's been doing. And since he's with a union, he gets paid twice as much. And he said that's not fair. Now, I've worked for a union, and I've worked with a union with a company, and I've worked without. I can tell you the company that I worked for that didn't have a union, they did things that were illegal, but since the average person doesn't know, they got away with it. Because most people aren't going to fight. And even if you decide to fight, they had a whole building of attorneys just basically designed to keep stuff in court. So you may be fighting for years and just not even have the funds to continue to fight. I also learned, based on the state that I lived in, is that once they do something so often to so many people, to pretty much everybody, it becomes precedence. It was in a right to work state. So I'm looking at adults that are jealous of a fellow citizen To me, jealousy is one of the ugliest emotions, because it's not like you see something that somebody has and you want it. No, jealousy is you see something that somebody else has and you're so angry that somebody else has it that if you can't have it, you want it to disappear for them. So this kind of moves me to the next thing that I'm seeing, and I've been seeing it for a while. And I have to say, I don't see it in person because I'm very selective about my company. I don't deal with everybody. I'm very close about my energy. If you're not a good person, if you're not a kind person, if you're not at least happy or working on your happiness, I don't have time. If you're the kind of person that complains all day but looks for absolutely no solutions, I don't have time. If you're the kind of person that puts other people to a higher standard than you put yourself on, I don't have time. And so I did a video a while back ago talking about these women who were upset and said that they didn't owe a man a hello. To me, that's common courtesy. And I don't like the word common. I got into a debate, which shouldn't have been a debate, another day with a young lady. I'm going to give her that. And it was funny because all I did was ask a question. And all this venom and all this anger and all this, you must be this and you must be that and you must be looking for the approval of a man and this, that, and the other from a question. And it was funny because the question was only about how to get more information on the subject. And like I said, I've seen this before, and it gets me because it's like this new group of women who want to actually act as if they're following a feminist movement, which is some BS, have this anger. And it's not just toward men, it's toward women. And to me, I'm looking at it like the idea that if somebody approaches you respectfully and says hello to you and you say, I don't owe you hello. Like, don't get me wrong, you don't owe anybody your name. I understand that. But if somebody says hello, how you doing? Well, you look nice. Well, thank you. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. And the one reason I would say that is just for the simple fact is you don't know how other people respond. You don't know what other people are going through. As a matter of fact, I used to have to tell my cousin when she was young to be careful how she responds to men when they approach her, because her face would crumple everything, stank attitude and everything. And she would look at me like, yeah, okay, whatever. Till one day her sister told her that one of the young ladies that she knew had been approached by a guy. And when she responded to him, not very kindly, he shot her. I'm not saying that that's the right response, but I'm saying we live in an open air insane asylum. You have no clue how people are going to respond. Keep your energy and your vibration high. Don't fall to other people's lower vibration. Because to me, all you do is open yourself up for more negativity. So I've heard women argue that, some dude told them to smile and that was sexist. No, that's you protecting your misery. Because you have an option. Either you smile or you don't. Hopefully you find reasons to smile after if you choose not to, but you still have control and power. So when women get into this sexist thing, I think you're fully unaware of the things that have happened in the past. I come from a mother who was phenomenally beautiful. Didn't even realize she was pretty till she was 36. My mother, the one thing that I can say that I so honor right now is, as a woman, if there was something she wanted, she obtained it. My mother even talked about the fact that her and her friend were looking at my father, and she decided she wanted my father. When my mother wanted a job, my mother got that job. When my mother wanted something, because she was beautiful decorated, when she wanted something new, she found a way to get it. Matter of fact, when I hit about high school, My mother worked for the railroad, and she was promoted to a job where they figured she filled 2 quotas, and they didn't think she can do it. So when she got into the job and she was able to do it, they did all underhanded little nasty stuff to her. Actually touched her. Some of them would come and like step on her feet or stand right behind her real close while she was sitting down. Matter of fact, one that I really remember because it pissed me off to no extent is one grown ass dude would get a paper and ball it up and yell at her and put the paper in her face like she was a dog. Well, see, the beautiful thing is not only was my mom a very decisive and internally strong, powerful woman, she had my dad. So my dad not only backed her, he went out and got the best attorney for her, and she won her case. And see, here's the thing that gets me about the selfishness of certain things. That case would now be on record for that company for future women or people of color in the future. So even though she protected herself, she put on record the actions of that company. To give you another side from my father's perspective, my father is like a walking encyclopedia. I knew probably before starting my first schooling was about Harriet Tubman. I knew that the Moors put the first university in Spain. I knew the operations that were occurring in Timbuktu thousands of years before. I knew all of these things. See, my parents built this foundation. And even though when I was young, and I remember us moving when I was about the 4th grade to pretty much a predominantly white community, I knew subtle nuances based on information that my parents would pass on. So I remember when I started school and we rode the bus, and every single day that I would get on that bus, a group of kids from the community would call me a nigger. And I think based on the information that was passed to me, I never wasted time telling my parents. I felt like they had too many things to deal with. So I would go on my father's study and bawl my eyes out. Till one day my father, he saw me. And after, he made sure I was okay, wiped away the tears, his first thing was to come up with a solution. Solution became I now had to defend myself and stop this from occurring. So my father suggested to me, what you can do, the next time one of them little kids try to tell you something like that or call you out of your name, I want you to take your hand, not your fingers, the palm of your hand, and I want you, in my dad's exact words, I remember to this day, slap the piss out of one of them. The next day I went to school, one of the little girls couldn't even get it out of her mouth. She couldn't even get the full word. She said, nah, and I slapped her. She wore my handprint on her face all day. Big pink handprint. I can tell you from that day forward, nobody at that school bus called me nigger again. I can tell you from that day forward, all the way till we graduated, that young lady never did anything ever again to disrespect me. I can tell you that when my brother was younger, because he's older than me, and he was in a daycare and there was a bully, my father told my brother, because my brother was left-handed, you grab him with your right hand and you punch him with, you punch him with your left. And I know some of you guys are going to think, oh, well, that's promoting violence and this, that, and the other. That's fine. I'm going to give you that. But to me, it's about self-protection. And it's also about the fact that I had a father who didn't see that women were somehow less than. My father basically said if I couldn't do it, my brother couldn't do it. And he gave us information based on who we are as people and not who we were male versus female. And I say that because I'm looking at this level of weak-charactered, weak-minded women that keep making excuses and trying to use almost a feminist movement to be assholes. And to be irresponsible, to not carry the responsibility of an adult. I can tell you from being a daddy's girl that I was lucky enough to go into the workplace when my father had a very physical job. And there were some women that would go on that job put on what they had to put on, get out there, do that job as well as or better than some men. And she would come back, get ready, go home, get her paycheck, and be on her way. Didn't fuss, didn't complain about nothing. That was empowering. That was beautiful to me. But then you had those few women that would come in and, oh, this is too heavy. I can't do this and this, and whine and complain, and would actually file complaints. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they were a woman. You were incapable of doing the job. So you're incapable of doing the job, and now you want to blame the system or the company because you're incapable of doing what the job requires. That's weakness to me. And it's not even weakness that you couldn't do the job. It's not made for everybody. It's weakness that instead of you owning that it's not the right job for you, you complain. The other thing that I want to suggest to people is that when you're in a physical environment, men talk shit to each other all the time and laugh about it and deal with it. But there's a lot of women that have this impression that once they go into this job, that all of a sudden it has to be sanitized for them. It wasn't sanitized for anybody else, but you want it to be sanitized for you. You want it to all of a sudden be special because you're a woman and you're going into this environment. Instead of you going into this environment as an adult and saying, if this is how they do, I'm gonna have to figure out and navigate my way around it. Because that's what women generally are used to be. Even if they demanded respect, that's what women are. So this type of woman who says, well, I don't have to be nice, I don't have to have manners, I don't have to put up with this, I don't have to do that, and this you better make special for me, is like making excuses. It's a sign of weakness. That's not where I come from. That's not even what I understand. Matter of fact, my grandmother, who's passed away, it's been decades. About 5-6 years ago, somebody was running for office and used her picture because she was that much of a woman that people believed, that people understood, that people knew would fight for whatever cause she was looking at. She made that much of an impact. But there was recently a case, and I'm thinking the guy, the last name is Curry, one of the basketball players, where the wife simply said she prefers classic, or I think it was, trying to think the right word, but she prefers something over trendy. And y'all attacked her for about 2 weeks. Matter of fact, I saw some men that actually put up posts of almost naked women that said, how dare you tell, this woman that she's not okay. That's not what she said. Then some of y'all complained and said she was slut shaming, but she never called anybody out. She never talked about any particular article of what women should wear. She talked about her personal preference. And y'all attacked her. And see, the funny thing about it is from a female standpoint, from a woman who loves, and I actually love being a woman, y'all think you have the right to tell her what to wear. A woman can be halfway naked or be clothed from the top of her head to the bottom of her feet. It is her right, especially in this country. It is her right. So for you to think you have the right to tell a woman how to dress however you think is appropriate is disrespectful. Especially in the country, she has that freedom. So in closing, what I can say is I'm finding it really interesting that the current U.S. mentality is that when you turn on the news and you see somebody saying, well, this person did this, that, and the other, and it was horrible, and they created this, that, and the other, and everybody's rushing to believe it. They don't have any evidence. They don't have any real information, but when somebody says it, when it's on the media, y'all fall for it hook, line, and sinker. But when people tell you stuff like the Agenda 21, they tell you that for years they've basically put black folks in a certain section of the cities because it's easier to control. When they tell you that fluoride that is put in our water was actually used via Hitler's time to make Jews docile. When they tell you about chemtrails, when they tell you that the food that you're eating is something's wrong with it, it doesn't have the nutrients that it should. You guys fall for it hook, line, and sinker when somebody talks about individuals, but you have a hard time paying attention to what's going on via the system, and you refuse to accept it. So what they have you doing is fighting amongst each other, so you never pay attention to the big picture. Just some thoughts. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.